Welcome back to B Master 79. In this lesson we build a Band 9 answer for ielts writing task 2, an agree or disagree question about communication technology. We will decode the prompt, brainstorm both sides, plan 4 paragraphs, and write the full essay together. Here is the question. With the rapid advancement of communication technology, smartphones, tablets, and other mobile devices, some people believe that the disadvantages outweigh the advantages. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Read it twice before you write anything. Step 1. Decode the question. This is an opinion question, so you must state one clear position and hold it from the introduction to the conclusion. The claim you are judging is that the disadvantages outweigh the advantages. Notice the word outweigh. The examiner wants a comparison of weight, not two separate lists. And to what extent invites a partial answer, so you may agree, disagree, or largely disagree with a concession. Step 2. Commit to a position. Here I largely disagree. The advantages outweigh the disadvantages. The move that lifts the band is the concession. Admit the harms are real, because a one-sided essay reads as unbalanced. Then unify everything with one line of reasoning. The drawbacks come from how the devices are used and designed, while the benefits are structural. Put that reasoning in the thesis and every later paragraph becomes support for it. Step 3. Brainstorm both sides for 2 or 3 minutes. On the advantages side, access so rural learners can reach lectures, medical advice and banking. Work so remote and flexible jobs open up to parents, carers and disabled people. Relationships sustained across distance. And safety through emergency alerts and location sharing. On the disadvantages side, fragmented attention, sleep disruption from notifications, weaker face-to-face skills among adolescents, and privacy erosion, along with the rapid spread of misinformation. Step 4. Filter. Do not dump. 4 ideas aside is plenty, and you will only use 2 or 3 of them. Choose the ideas you can explain, not the ones that sound clever, because task response rewards development rather than quantity. So discard phones are convenient. It is too vague to develop. Keep access to education and work, which is concrete and easy to extend, and keep attention and sleep, which is the strongest opposing point, so concede it head on. Step 5. Plan 4 paragraphs. The introduction paraphrases the prompt, then states the position and the reason behind it. Body 1 gives the advantages that mobile technology redistributes access to education, healthcare, and employment. Body 2 concedes the harms, then explains why they are manageable rather than inherent. And the conclusion restates the position in new words and closes on the comparison the question asked for. Now the essay itself. The introduction. Mobile communication devices have reshaped daily life within a single generation, and a sizable body of opinion now holds that their costs exceed their benefits. While I accept that these technologies have introduced genuine social and psychological problems, I largely disagree with this view. The drawbacks arise from the way the devices are used and designed, whereas the advantages are structural and far-reaching. Notice that the position and the reason arrive together in the same breath. Body paragraph 1. The most compelling argument in favor of mobile technology is that it has dismantled barriers of distance and cost which previously restricted opportunity. A student in a remote village with a smartphone can now reach university lectures, medical guidance, and banking services that were once the preserve of city dwellers. In much the same way, the shift towards remote and flexible working, which would have been inconceivable without portable connectivity, has allowed parents, carers, and people with disabilities to enter the labor market on their own terms. These are not marginal conveniences. They amount to a redistribution of access to education, healthcare, and employment. One claim, one explanation, one example, and a closing line that raises the stakes. Body paragraph 2, the concession. Critics nevertheless point to harms that deserve serious attention: fragmented concentration, disrupted sleep, and a decline in face-to-face interaction among adolescents. I would not dismiss these concerns, since the association between compulsive scrolling and anxiety is becoming difficult to ignore. However, such outcomes stem from persuasive design and unregulated habit rather than from connectivity itself. Screen time limits, workplace norms that restrict after-hours contact, and tighter oversight of engagement maximizing algorithms can all blunt the damage, which suggests the problem is manageable rather than intrinsic. Concede first, then turn. The word, however, is doing the heavy lifting. Conclusion. In conclusion, although mobile devices have created costs that no honest account should overlook, these are behavioral side effects that regulation and personal discipline are capable of curbing, while the gains in access to opportunity are transformative. I therefore disagree that the disadvantages outweigh the advantages. No new ideas here, and the final sentence answers the question in the question's own terms. Here is the complete essay on one slide, at 295 words, comfortably above the 250-word minimum. Pause the video and read it as a whole, because coherence is something you can only judge at full length. Watch how each paragraph opens with a claim and closes by pointing forward. The language bank. On the left, the phrasing used in the essay. On the right, the plain version most candidates write. Dismantled barriers of distance and cost instead of removed obstacles. The preserve of city dwellers instead of only available to city people would have been inconceivable without instead of impossible before. A redistribution of access instead of sharing opportunity more widely. Persuasive design instead of apps built to hook users, and manageable rather than intrinsic instead of fixable, not built in. Learn these as whole phrases, not single words. Why this reaches Band 9. Task response. A clear position is stated in the introduction and held to the end, and the opposing view is conceded and then answered rather than ignored. Coherence and cohesion. One central idea per paragraph, logical progression, and cohesive devices that do not draw attention to themselves. Lexical resource. Precise, natural word choice, with uncommon items used accurately. Grammatical range and accuracy. A wide range of complex structures used flexibly, with the great majority of sentences error-free. One important caveat. This assessment is an internal quality check against the publicly available ielts band descriptors. It is not a score awarded by a certified ielts examiner. Your turn. Write body paragraph 2 taking the opposite position, and argue that the disadvantages really do outweigh the advantages. Keep the same structure. Claim, explanation, example, and a sentence that ties it back to the question. Then time yourself. 40 minutes for the whole essay, and 5 of those on planning. Post your paragraph in the comments, and I will read them. Thanks for watching. Be Master 79.